So you want to cover events, you want to be a professional photographer, but you have no idea which camera you should buy, right? And there are so many DSLRs in the market and you're tight on your budget, and there are mirrorless cameras nowadays and they're like really expensive, but you have like just under $1,000 and you don't know what to buy, right? So I have my two beasts that I've been using for like so many years for photography and professional photography. I prefer one for certain events or functions and the other one for certain events, functions, or types of photography. So I'll give you reasons and a comparison of why I use one for something else and the other one for something else. And then you can pick and choose, right? Like which one is the best for you and your niche. So this is my Nikon. It's a Nikon D610. Yes, it's very heavy. And this is a Canon 6D Mark II. The body is lighter than the Nikon. So the first and the foremost edge that I give to this Nikon D610 is the fact that it's, much cheaper in price, and the lenses are cheaper as well. I'll give you an overview of the lenses that I have in another video. But yes, so a $300 price difference is pretty stark. And given that I have experienced both of them and I've taken pictures with both of them, and I'll post some of the pictures in this video as well, I have noticed that there is no difference in terms of image quality, even though like sometimes I find pictures to be much more crisp and have more color depth with this Nikon. And if you go through the specs like of both the cameras, you see that why is that? Because dynamic range and color range of Nikon is actually better than Canon. But Canon has one bigger edge, when compared to this Nikon D610, and that is that the ISO range of this Canon D60 Mark II is way higher than your Nikon. So if you're going to cover landscapes and you're going for long exposure and extremely dark shots, then perhaps your Canon is a better choice. But in terms of image quality, I hands down would prefer Nikon if you're tight on your budget. The next thing that I think is critical to know is the fact that, as a photographer, when you're taking, your cameras around, you want to make sure that you have access to enough memory storage that you can take as many clicks as possible. And that is pretty much possible with this very basic body of D610. It offers 2 memory slots, so you can put in like 2 memory cards and carry, much larger amount of storage as a backup as compared to your Canon. So Canon basically just offers this one memory slot, and I fail to understand that, with a $1,000 body, why couldn't you offer like one more memory slot? So I prefer taking my Nikon for most of the event shoots because it's very handy. I don't want to keep my memory card somewhere in a backpack and just like try to find it out when there is I'm missing out on some critical part of the event. So I will always take my Nikon because of that. Number 2 reason why I prefer Nikon for event coverages as compared to this Canon 60 Mark II is the fact that it offers like a built-in flash. And I'll just show you. So you just turn on the basic mode and you choose just the auto function in case you're not as pro as you want to use like the manual function. And to be honest, in most of the events, like in most of the areas, I don't even use flash. But as a beginner in photography, I would highly recommend getting like a camera which offers a built-in flash, right? So some of the areas, some details of the event, you just want to capture just for memory's sake, for the event organizer, for the person who has hired you, and you don't want to carry extra lights for that. And so this is pretty handy. You just turn it on and there is a built-in flash, and I'll just take a picture just to show you how it works, right? So even though the image will not be as nice, but it gets the job done. Versus Canon, which doesn't offer a built-in flash, and you actually just have to, even as a starter, buy like an external flash, which will cost you an additional $120 to $150. So on top of what you're already spending, on this Nikon body to get this Canon 60 Mark II, you will be spending additional money just to get like a basic external flash, and then for the lenses on top of that. So that's why I prefer, again, Nikon for most of the wedding photographies and event photography shoots, because it's cheaper, it's handy, it has a built-in flash, and I can hand it off to like a shift photographer just to take most of the pictures of the events and hand it back to me with the 2 memory cards. And one of the drawbacks of using this Nikon, right? So as you can see, it's very basic. There is no touchscreen option in this, and plus the fact that the screen is not rotatable. You cannot take out the screen and basically use it just as a viewfinder when you're taking images at a different spot. So for instance, there is an event moment going on at the front and you can't reach at the top, so you want to be able to take the screen out and look at that. During those points, I would recommend taking your Canon. What you can do is you will just basically pop your lens out, pop your viewfinder out, and just, take a look at the images like this. So you can just like rotate it, you can make it easier for yourself to watch what you're doing, and it's so much handy, right? So during an event where you feel that it would be a little difficult for you to reach out at the front and take images, I will highly recommend taking your Canon. And the fact that the screen is amazingly tech savvy. It's a touch screen, you can zoom in, you can see the quality of the image. And so yes, so these are the actual pros of this Canon 60 Mark II, and you can see the screen quality is much better. It's connected to Wi-Fi, so you can digitally transfer your images to your laptop instantly, and you can have a look at the images. And this is actually one of the images that I'd like to show you because of the very good ISO range. You can see how beautiful and how crisp are the fireworks looking here, which would not have been the case if I had captured this with this Nikon, because Nikon's ISO range is not as good as this Canon, right? But again, to cover any difficult parts of the event and to cover darker areas, you'll have to buy an external flash. So these are some things that you have to keep in mind when you're making your first purchase as a professional photographer, whether to go for Nikon or your Canon. And both the cameras are really good. I wouldn't say that even one of them like falters to deliver, but what you have to keep in mind is the fact that choose according to your needs. Don't go over your budget initially. And I started off with this Nikon, to be honest, and it has truly paid off. So it's totally up to you. I've given you both the price points and the pros and cons, and hit me up, comment here if you want me to tell you more about these cameras.